Hi, welcome to our final showcase of the term titled Kaleidoscope. Thank you to everyone who helped to make this event possible. Thank you to the support of the families of Lachlan and Leo. We've had 4 other amazing showcases so far, and this one will be no different. The bathrooms are through that door and on the left. If you need to go during the show, try to go in between the pieces being performed. And then there's exit here and an exit behind me. And so now I will turn it over to Lachlan and Leo.
Hello, everyone, and thank you all for being here. I'm Lachlan Wachinski.
And I'm Leo Douglas, and this is our showcase, Kaleidoscope.
This event is made up of works we have written in our 2 years residency here at MSA, and we are so excited to share them with you all.
Before we start, we would like to go over a few showcase rules that Dr. Alexis already covered, but we're going to say it again.
Yep. Please silence all electronics. Feel free to take videos and pictures, but keep your brightness down and turn your flash off as to not disturb the readers.
It is in literary tradition to snap instead of clapping, so we ask you to join us in that tonight. It's going to be hard to get used to, but you'll get it.
Any heckling or booing is prohibited, and you will be asked to leave if you partake in so.
Lachlan's pieces will be read in the first half, and then we will transition into my segment of the showcase. Afterward, we will have a sit-down. We'll sit right here, and you guys can have a Q&A with us and ask us about our pieces. So keep that in mind as you listen to our pieces. You can ask us questions.
Yep. After the Q&A, we will have a moment for snacks we have provided outside in the hallway for everyone to enjoy, and a moment to take pictures.
There are 2 exits, so there's one right there, and then there's one behind us. If you split these black curtains, there's like a big door.
Yep.
The bathrooms are down that hallway and to the left, if you don't know.
Yep. And please be respectful to all who have traveled far and worked hard and looked forward to this special night.
And go ahead, Lachlan.
Yep. Now we will begin with my segment of the showcase. I hope you all enjoy it.
Jane's toes don't walk on soles. I once met a girl who said her name was Jane. She had brown hair and brown eyes, brown freckles, and brown dirt beneath her fingernails. She loved her mama and the chili peppers and beating her brother in Cracker Barrel checkers. Her father called her by her full name, Mary Jane, like her favorite pair of shoes, like Spider-Man's red-haired love interest, or even like The Last Dance Tom Petty always sang about. He loved Mary Jane just about as much as he loved his Johnny Cash dartboard that haunted the basement walls, the one she was never allowed to play with. But I never really knew Mary Jane. I only heard whispers of the debilitating ache in everybody's knees whenever she wore that yellow party dress with the yellow pin in her hair, and the tales of different youthful feats like climbing the Blockbuster or being the first one to step foot on newly frozen lakes. They say she's like a fever that never breaks. She never wore outlandish clothing or danced in the middle of the street, but she did like to walk barefoot over park benches and gravel driveways, singing out that her toes would never walk on soles.
"17. 17 is your mama's old blue guitar, a dirty fur coat from the thrift store, and lines from a poem scribbled on a napkin in your car with a dent on the driver's side door. 17 is poorly painted nail beds, a soda cracked open for an early morning meal, and your best friend's music turned up loud with hands banging on your steering wheel. 17 is a movie in the McDonald's parking lot, sunglasses that consistently fall off of your nose, and going to the car wash for a cheap thrill as the soapy colors rain down on your windshield. 17 is packing up your CDs for college, celebrating a goodbye with a cap toss and the overwhelming juvenile denial that you will not acknowledge because, if you do, 17 will be gone for a while."
Ingalls. I could only see the whites of your eyes when I yelled, "Get down," because I could have sworn to a sight of a doe, her head sticking up, about to run across our path. I was wrong, but I discovered something more promising than the shadows on the road. Your arm over my chest, an untrusting glare aimed at my seatbelt, your eyes avoiding the evergreen trees despite their deep tones and captivating height. That's where my eyes were as we began this road trip, around the valleys of Nevada looking for somewhere other than home. We found a cabin first, and it was made from the same logs we had been watching towering upwards on the side of Mount Ingalls, named after angels and other figures that try to fit in the little plastic halos and flimsy dollar store wings. Between those peaks and the empty tunnels of asphalt, there might as well be only satellites in the sky. No stars could reside outside that cabin. As we turn away once again, disowning home, the fuel gauge ticking stick began a slow journey to collide with the letter E. We stopped for gas, and on my lips a devious smile grew. I ran circles around the station, a quick turn here, a super swift dash around the cashier. You chased and barked at me with a serious tone, but it didn't matter. I had never felt any sense of freedom more fulfilling than that. "Aren't you embarrassed," you yelled, "when you decided that the strain on your lungs and on your pride was not worth the minuscule satisfaction of catching me? So you turned to another car, asking for directions. You never needed them, though. I was your guide, and I will be for all time, from time to time."
Lacuna. Green revolution in the snowy sands of Montauk. Waves rushing to the shore, intrigued. The downfall decision, disguised by the idea of what could be hidden underneath something seemingly so nice. The cycle of intimacy difficulty, eager to start again. Despite my best efforts, I fall once more. Red in love in a frozen lake. Lie with me and die right there. Become the constellations you showed me, and deflect from the brittle breakage underneath our backs. A night picnic, because those are different. Agent Orange, fading from the red summer rust of moons made of honey, peculiar possessions and roots splitting from my scalp. Tangerine dreams turn into melancholy memories. We fall away once more. Blue ruin, oh my darling, a new face of you, sitting years away between the walls of leather seats, bound to this train, pushing us to a destination we both have already been before. You'll give me a ride home, and I'll say, "Call me on Valentine's Day," because that would be nice.
Moonstoned. I used to sit on the stairs of our apartment, moonstoned, waiting for anything to halt the early dawn from fading the stars above. Yet I sat idly by as the sun ascended into the vanilla sky. A dangerous delight it was, threatening pale beauty with burns. I wonder if that's where you look for me. In the sun, in her blue eyes, anywhere but where I am. You're lost, within the day's days, all while I slip into a silk pond on the moon, with heart-shaped sunglasses on my nose. They know where I'd really like to go. The darkest side of the bluest moon, where my freckles can turn to constellations and my hair could become rays of light, cast back down onto that apartment and onto the dusty staircase I used to sit.
Diet cigarettes. You put me out like the cigarettes housed between your lips, as I once was. Doused my light, my love, because you wish to have forgotten to remember last December. I still hold oxygen in my lungs from the last breath we shared, the smell of tobacco and sorcery on your skin. I can feel it, festering inside of my being, twisting, contorting, imitating the face you have yet to show me in months. An untamed heart and a soul supposedly mine, you sit out on our balcony smoking again. Flakes of frozen friends descend and line the blackened iron rods, keeping you from being the one to fall. You sit for hours there, searching, yearning for the dark side of the moon to finally show its face to you, like it had for me in your eyes so long ago.
Ode to a Chair Rocking. A pleasant surprise is a chair not meant to rock, but to wobble. You beckoning me to rest on your velvety green cushions, meant to cradle me with rusted springs, lulling squeaky rhymes, so I just might notice that my mother vanishes in the daytime. We fought over you with melodies of Carrie, my brother and I seeking remedies to cure the lack of familiarities in a home only temporary. Running an infant fingertip along a radiant ring stained onto your arm, a tattoo from mugs brewed to soothe the bruised blues of women rested here before me. You, a sanctuary of all things necessary for what was once a younger me to grow beyond scraped knees and crooked glasses.
An excerpt of Tunnel Vision. I wanted to fold myself like the corners of her posters that covered almost every inch of her bedroom walls, but I wanted to be the smell of smoke on her pillows even more. I met her, Violet, on the train ride back home after my shift. She hadn't sat down yet. She was just standing with her hand on a pole and her eyes out the window, even though we had been in a tunnel for the last 20 minutes. She must have seen a lot more in those bricks than I did. She had been holding a few books in her hand instead of letting the large tote bag around her shoulders carry the weight. I'd figured she was going to get off early, so I moved to the side on the way to my seat, yet she stopped me. She hadn't even said a word to me before grabbing my arm and dragging me down the car. I couldn't even tell you why I hadn't protested, or even let out a single syllable. I guess I just trusted her. She stopped when she got to the end of the car that had a large window. She turned to me and asked one thing. I could never forget those words, not only because of the absurdity of her ask, but because of the way her voice blew through me like the wind, and how her eyes glanced over me as if she were reading a magazine article from her favorite issue. "What do you see out there?" she asked, as if we had something in common. "I'm not sure. A lot of brick. I was just heading home," I reply after a moment of hesitation to consider the possibilities. She seemed to have been inspired by my simple man words because she tugged on my arm again. "Come on. Tell me what you really see," she says, looking back at him with her green eyes squinted by a smile. "It's just a tunnel, pitch black," I say, even if it was a simple answer. I couldn't think of anything. She was the most beautiful girl I had ever seen. However, she was quite a bit odd. She was at the awkward height between short and tall, but closer to tall. Her auburn bangs were uneven and her nose was pronounced. None of that compared to her eyes, though. "Don't look through the glass, look at it," she encouraged me, grabbing my chin and focusing it on the glass. Then she pointed at the reflection. "Don't you see that?" she asked.
Metronome Home. Some nights I walk out onto the hills, shoeless, with sleep-ridden sweat on my shirt. I sit down on the grass to a view of my house, sitting on a sea of fog, floating still. Not one star in the sky, not even the moon. But the lights are on and I'm drawn. I see you there with my dog in the foyer, lounging on my sins as I try to listen in to all that you say. What am I to you if not for a home to break into? Then suddenly I am in the chair and you are somewhere out there, divided by glass, the blurred line that separates you and I. Contrary to each other, yet conjoined under the boards of my metronome home. The ashtray says I've been up all night, as if I could sleep without your guiding whispers in my ear, or your words that are always insincere. I can forgive your invasion into my head, but to relinquish the sting made from memories of all that we have said is far too much to overcome. It's always you and I, alone with one another. We have no past and no future, just our house and fragile sutures.
snug as a bug in a rug. Stumbling rumblings like quiet earthquakes echo down the hall as the clock condemns me to my room once again. Pirouette silhouettes of 6 tiny dancers on my walls, beckoning the realization of the foretold bedtime to set in. I lie at unease until the sound of car keys and a shaved head pop into my doorway, a day too early. A striking surprise and tired eyes, not too weary to protect me from the beasts beneath my creaky bed. They can't harm me, as long as the sheets are tucked into both sides, under the mattress and covering up to my shoulders, above my arms, and over my heart. Snug as a bug in a rug.
Older brother syndrome. Remember when we climbed that old tree, the one by the barbed wire fence in our backyard? Do you remember the triumph of making it to the top, only to have to bandage the scratches we gained afterward? Remember when I made you tie my shoes almost every morning before school, the pink twinkle toes that I begged months to get? They were stained with mud, worn with love. Remember when you made my nose bleed on Dad's brand new leather couch? Do you remember grabbing the napkins and holding my head over the sink? You begged me not to tattle. Remember when the neighbor yelled at us for having a snowball fight at 1 a.m? Do you remember the way we looked at each other, knowing there would be no rest for that man? Remember when we chased each other around the kitchen counter, clenching knives in our hands, all because of some hacky sack? Do you remember tossing it around afterwards like nothing had even happened? Remember when we stayed up all night playing the Wii Winter Olympic Games? Do you remember how I hid behind the couch when Mom caught us? It was time we were supposed to get up for school. Remember when I used to give you my fries from McDonald's? Do you remember how I would pass them through the crevice between the car seat and the door? I learned to like them when you weren't around to take them. Remember when you packed your things for your first dorm? Do you remember giving me half your finished Star Wars Lego sets that you yelled at me for stealing before? They still sit on my shelf. I know sometimes you may have wished to have a brother instead, someone who was tougher, someone who could understand the way a brother would. But even with soggy fries, fistfights, and early morning flights, I was always proud to be your little sister. Mama's song. Now, my mama don't sing unless it's in the car or at some karaoke bar, but she does have a few special tunes just for me on any given afternoon. She'd tell me that her voice ain't for singing, but for the right price, like big brown eyes, even if they cry or squint real sly, she'd sacrifice just for a moment. If you let out a little bit too much pout,
I brought you into this world and I can take you out.
if you jump when your friends leap,
You are the company you keep.
even when you don't go out as others might,
Nothing good ever happens after midnight.
there'll never be any shortages of I love yous and the never-ending lines of my mama's song, but my favorite of them all came from a bedtime story she used to read to my brother and I.
I love you forever, like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be.
And now it is my half of the showcase. Lachlan did a great job. So I'm going to start it off. Self-portrait as Dionysus. I am a never-ending grapevine, producing fruit beyond your comprehension for others to consume rapaciously. I understand you, they spit out through wine-stained teeth. I am a leopard, stalking my prey with gold rings surrounding the obsidian spots covering my skin. My whiskers twitch as I bare my fangs in response to what they spit. I am the sound of a kalamos, carved from bone and decorated with blood. My screams echo through the forest, haunting, hollow, and chilling to the core. And yet I am not alone. There are others standing with me, unafraid of what I have become. I dance as if my snapping bones try to break from my skin. My followers dance accordingly. There is no pattern, no thought in our movements. We stumble like drunkards, leaning against each other and laughing.
Home. Filling: 1 pound ground pork, 3 green onions finely chopped, 2 garlic cloves finely chopped, 2 teaspoons of grated ginger, 1 teaspoon of red miso paste, 3 cups Napa cabbage chopped finely. Number 1. Mix all filling ingredients into a bowl with your hands until well combined. You sigh. The pressure on your chest feels like a piano has been dropped on top of you. The pit in your stomach is so dark and endless that it reminds you of the night sky devoid of stars. Enveloping emptiness consumes you, and your frame can no longer hold it inside. The moment the dam breaks, the moment the floodwaters come rushing through, you can't breathe. You hack out a lung after expelling bile into the toilet. You haven't eaten a bite in a few days too many. Lifting your arm to flush the toilet is like dragging heavy weights tied at your wrists. You manage to make it into the hallway before you collapse, sweat beading on your brow as your face drains of color. When you wake up, you're lying in the nurse's station. She's handing you a mint, smiling sadly. You pocket the mint, worried it'll make you gag. Your eyelids grow heavy as the nurse explains that your mom will be here soon. As your eyes close, she turns on wail noises. The nurse always listened to something weird, but you're too tired and sick to think about it right now. Number 2. Open the gyoza wrappers and place a small amount of filling in the center. Dip your fingers in water and run it around the wrapper's edge. Fold the wrapper in half, forming a half moon, and with your fingers create pleats around the edge to close the gyoza. The yearly flu, but by God it's hit hard this year. When your nose is so clogged you can't remember what it's like to breathe fresh air, when your throat stings and not even water or the coldest ice cream can fix it. Maybe you were being dramatic with the endless pit in your stomach thing, but it did feel that way when you were younger. Most kids would ask their mom to make soup hot enough to warm the freezing cold in their bones. Maybe ask for a cut-up fruit or fast food since it's easier than preparing a meal while stuck at home. Maybe snacks, as they always cheer you up. Not this time, though. This time you're weak. You aren't hungry, and it's harder to walk and stay awake for an hour. Number 3. Turn the heat to medium-low on your stove. Place half a tablespoon of oil in a frying pan. The week before you got sick, you visited an Asian market downtown with your mom. You practically dragged her inside. You wish you still had the energy you did then. You found one of the shining items in the freezer section, glowing like a quest objective from a video game. Gyoza wrapping paper. "What's this?" your mom asks. "It's the wrapping paper they use for pot stickers," you say, clutching the ice-covered plastic bag to your chest. "Can we get it, please?" you ask, blinking your eyelashes and flashing a bright smile. Your mom can't deny pure childhood joy, and she relents. The bag is put into the cart, but soon is covered by ramen bowls, vegetables, fish, a new set of knives, and noodles longer than the line at the checkout. The bag has sat in your freezer forgotten until now, when you see a YouTube video on how to make gyoza at home. Your mouth waters. Wait until the oil is warm and place gyoza flat side down. Fry for 2 minutes. You stumble into your kitchen, the soles of your feet tingling as the numbness subsides. You crack open the bag of wrappers as flecks of ice fly throughout the room, reminding you of the childhood snow you missed so dearly. No matter how far south your family moves, you'll never forget your dog pulling you along in a sled as you laugh louder and louder than the roaring tires against snow sheets. It gets cold in the south, sure, but not like where you were born. You clear your throat, lips curling into a smile as the memory fades away. Your mom walks into the kitchen with furrowed eyebrows. "What are you doing up?" You turn around, showing her the bag. "Can we make it together?" Your mom can't say no to a snotty nose and a big smile. Pour water into the pan and close it with a lid to steam the gyoza. The first playset you ever owned was a small red kitchen unit filled with fruits and veggies and meats that could be cut in half with a blunt block knife. Velcro lined the insides of the foodstuffs, and the sound it made when it separated always made you smile. Now you were cutting with a real blade and cabbage instead of pretending. Chopping ingredients was your favorite part of cooking, as it was a repetitive movement, but you had to be careful or one slip-up could end in rough, uneven pieces. Since you were old enough to be trusted with a sharp object, you were always your mom's sous chef. When she made spaghetti, you chopped up the garlic. When she made ramen, you cut up the spring onions. Cooking was never as fun when you did it alone. Your mom always said you and her were the best team, and when you helped her, the food always tasted better. Number 6, cook for 8 minutes until the skin becomes soft and the water is completely evaporated. If everything were as easy as cooking with your mom, you would breeze through life. A drop of oil here, a dash of spices there, and boom, a dish you can savor. But this time was different. You couldn't smell any part of the dish: the onions, the garlic cloves, the red paste, the ginger. While you focus on trying to smell the ingredients and the spices, your foggy mind clouds your thoughts and you slice your finger. The slice isn't bad, but your mom goes pale. She turns away and tries to hide it, leaving the kitchen to grab a Band-Aid. You blink and your mom is back and your finger is wrapped and taken care of. She's putting oil in the hot pan and it sizzles and splatters onto you. You grunt from the pain, swallowing the rock stuck in your throat. Even the oil sting couldn't snap you out of your dreary haze. Number 7. Remove the cover and let the remaining water evaporate if needed. Add a half tablespoon of oil and let the opposite side of the gyoza fry for 2 to 5 minutes. Once again, you blink. When you open your eyes, you find yourself sitting at the dining room table, a plate of perfectly golden brown gyoza resting before you. It's everything you imagined, down to the steam rising. Sesame seeds and dipping sauce surround the plate as the entire house gathers to watch you eat lunch. Your dog comes by, laying down right on top of your feet. She takes deep breaths as her eyelids flutter closed, dreaming of the food she could never hope to reach on the table. Your cat sits in a dining chair, peeking just above the table and watching you intently. She's never hunted mice, but you think she would be good at it if they were gyoza-shaped. Instead of watching the food as the cat did, your mom's eyes laid on you. You feel sweat beading on your forehead and arms as the reality of being unable to smell the food seeps in. You think about what it will be like to take a bite. Will you even taste it? Your shaking fingers reach to grab your cup of water. Number 8. Remove gyoza from the pan and let rest before eating. You blow your nose. Please, please, you think. Please let me be able to taste this. So far, you've tried popcorn, chips, fruits, anything you can get your hands on in hopes of tasting it. Nothing. You feel the texture and you can imagine what it tastes like, but it's nothing compared to the real thing and you miss it. You tentatively cut the gyoza open, watching as the steam rises like smoke to fire. Your mom smiles. You know she's glad the food is cooked thoroughly. Sometimes you both struggle with that. You smile at her, picking up half of the gyoza and taking your last deep breath. You bite into it. The crunch of the wrapping, flaky and golden, and you feel as if you're flying. You taste it. You taste the pork, the cloves, the onion, the ginger. You laugh, chewing excitedly and jumping out of your seat. Your mom wraps you in a solid but gentle hug, and you find a tear coming to your eye. You can taste it. You sit back down, ready to enjoy a full meal. You ate and felt better every time you took a bite. You never realized how much you would miss a simple, overlooked action to taste. Number 9. Prepare the dipping sauce. It's been a few days, and after all the medicine and water, you finally feel like yourself again. You don't crave gyoza. It only happens when you're sick, but you don't mind. It's the perfect food for when you're feeling down. Thank you for always taking care of me, Mom, you say. Always, kiddo.
Loved everlastingly. I can't help but look at him like he's a Greek statue carved by the hands of a master at work. When his face is covered in all-encompassing hues, cheeks red, eyes glistening a lovely greenish blue. Did you know they used to paint Greek statues? They used so many beautiful colors, made from crushed berries, herbs, rocks, paints made from anything they could get their hands on, paints made from the very essence of nature, brushed on the statues with calloused but delicate hands. Statues fit for the gods, truly. Statues like him, standing tall and proud. Paint can chip away, stone can crack and crumble, but never will we stop caring for the lost arts. Never will I stop until he is loved everlastingly.
In praise of my anxiety. The quick of my nails left exposed as I bite and claw in an attempt to remain still. The picked off black nail polish, the bitter sting of its taste in my mouth. The sores in my mouth bleed as I desperately wash them in salted water. The hangnails on my fingers continue to tear down my hand and my arm. The chewed straw of my much too caffeinated drink, the dog-eared pages of my favorite books, the ink stains on my skin and clothes. What can I do to be calm? If I sit in the bathroom for too long, will the fresh air heal me? The water doesn't work. What else can I drink to make it go away? That won't ruin everything I've worked for so far. Give me some kind of release that won't leave me hurting.
Blank. After R.M. Drake. I miss you, oh, I miss the little smirk that set my heart ablaze. I want to keep the memory of your everlasting smile, accompanied by my youthful laughs, and I will never be able to let go of that thing we called love. Even when I am far too old and the leaves fall behind the wind, I can still hear your calls. I can't imagine ever forgetting your name.
Wings. I smile as you lift me from under my arms. I'm flying, I think. You confirm it. I sit with you on cold nights, looking up at the stars. They keep us company. I'm older now. I don't think I could fly again, even if you could still lift me. But we try still. We get pizza and ice cream, and for a few fleeting moments, my wings grow back.
Oh, my love, Part 1. O son of Hephaestus, crafted from the most exemplary block of marble, with eyes of golden jasper stone. When your father was cast from the top of Olympus by his own mother, he created you for his comfort, to help him with his projects, to create the finest inventions, to give him purpose and fuel his creativity. You are the Icarus to his Daedalus, but you cannot be killed by something as simple as the sun. You are the most knowledgeable when it comes to art and nature, and even while being created to help your father, you became your own person. Your marble form changes to flesh and bone, your smile softens as your hands begin to move, you spring to life from your casing, and I am so in awe. I am mortal, as are you. Hephaestus cannot grant you his immortal life, but maybe being mortal makes it all worth it.
Oh, my love, Part 2. O son of Hypnos, a face ever changing, the more I dream of you. I'm told you stay on the island of Lemnos, far away from the inhabited lands, hiding away in never-ending hills that stretch on for miles. Your bare feet leave dust trailing behind you. My father, when he was cast from Olympus, landed on Lemnos. His first forge still stands, albeit tilted. Beneath the cities, his unfinished jewelry pieces lay untouched but glittering. No dust could hide their beauty. You run from mortals who chased after beauty untold, a quiet slumber no one can reach until death. They beg and plead, as I do, to see your face one more time. My wildest dream is to chase you through our golden fields of Lemnos.
Sublime, after R. H. Sin. There is something between you and I, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. We share this love with her, who built us from mud and tears as the light went out in the heavens.
Another summer. I think of old rooms, familiar, steep and narrow staircases, The print of the overfed, much too contented cat. Hey buddy, knock off the aesthetics. There's a dead mouse somewhere under the house. Making its presence known, the squirrel has almost shaved down the muttons. Toilets on the fritz, get the plumber. There's bright yellow pollen, deeply settled everywhere. And I forage for a Kleenex, to hell with pollen. Reconnect with the outdoors, take a 20-minute walk, past gleaming, freshwater kettle ponds, beach grass waving silkily, wild roses clumped near beach, and high dunes. Back to the house. Bees are swarming around near an attic window. They have been away 2-3 years, but missed the old place and decided to come home. In a sense, I'm in heaven. Perhaps I'm a bee. The pedigree of honey does not concern the bee.
Writers' bodies, a thought. I have never seen a more beautiful thing than that of an author's hands. They're bruised and scratched, or have no marks at all. Their fingers twitch, aching to start something new. I have never seen a more beautiful thing than that of an author's lips. They're bloodied from constant biting, a nervous habit, or are unmarked, unscathed, too perfect to touch. I have never seen a more beautiful thing than that of an author's memory, because they may never remember important dates or meetings, but the moment someone asks about how they look to the world, how they see something they love, it is in clear detail. I have never seen a more beautiful thing than that of an author, published or not, showing works to the world or keeping it to themselves, because authors are all around, and I have never thought a more beautiful thing.
New year, new me. I unclip the giant pink bows from my hair. I cut and cut and cut until there's barely any hair left. A new color every few months. New year, new me. I have a new name, new clothes, new thoughts. Don't forget about your daughter, but remember to welcome in your new son. And now everybody's going to come out and we're going to all do a bow because it's over.
Okay. Can we have our readers come out real quick? Hello? Hello? Hey, y'all. Come stand. Come stand. And now you guys can go sit in the audience, and we're going to have a quick Q&A.
No.
We're going to move this.
Yes.
Take the mic out of that. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Okay. Yeah. Okay, and now if you have any questions, you can raise your hand, and we'll call on you. Jilly Grace.
Hello. Hey. I am applying to Ole Miss to go into the classics department for history, so I am very obsessed with like old societies.
Wait, who's next? Yes.
We had to come up with one.
Actually, we would like to thank Emma Stapp for that, because Emma kind of.
She did.
Yeah, we were sitting in the back of somebody else's showcase, and we were like, man, we still don't have a name for ours. And we knew that we were going to have the colors and everything go on, and Emma was like, what about Kaleidoscope? And I was like, that's cool. So,
Yes.
okay. Yes, Aaron?
So I noticed that a lot of your pieces are inspired by music.
Mm-hmm.
There's some songs or artists that really inspired you to create.
Oh. Can all of them be an answer? Yeah, but all of them.
Pierce the Veil.
That's a real old one. This year I'm different. It changes. I guess I did reference the Chili Peppers in one of mine. Tom Petty, like a bunch of like 90s, 70s, 80s rock and roll. That's just it. Yes. We both did. We both did. Yep. You also helped
Yes,
at
you
the
did
end a
also
little
help.
bit. Okay. Yes.
Lachlan, I was wondering about older brother syndrome.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're talking about Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
Did all these things really happen?
Absolutely, they did. Absolutely.
I mean, blood on dad's friend.
Oh yeah. Yep. Mhm. I don't. Is this on? Oh, I have to get like real close to it. Okay. Yes.
Mine is more of a compliment because I love all the pieces and I really like the tempo that both of you write. You have this melodic way of writing and poetry and stories. It's very beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Individually, what are your singular favorite piece from the 12 showcase?
You go first.
Oh God.
Okay, I'm gonna have to think.
What's the title of?
Self-portrait.
Thank you. Self-portrait as Dionysus and New Year, New Me were written pretty close together in time, and they're both about my experiences with gender. So I hold those really close to my heart. But obviously, the one that made my mom cry was Home. So I like that one a lot too.
Did my mother cry? Okay. I'm still answering the other question. What my favorite piece? Okay. It's like a tie between two. Can I pick two? I'm gonna pick two.
I picked one.
Of course, Mama's Song is one of my favorites because I love my mother. That's my best friend. And the other one is Lacuna, which is based off of my favorite movie, and also it got published. So, yep. Yes. Now you can ask. My stepdad right there. That's him. He's sitting right there.
Raise your hand.
Yeah. Some of them are, some of them aren't. You were like, you haven't done most of these things. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got any questions?
How did you come up with the home story and what made you think of building the instructions?
Well, so what made me build the instructions into the piece was Dr. Alexis assigned us to do that. It was based on a recipe. And then what reminded me of home, every time I go home, me and my mom try to cook something new. And I got really sick one year, and all I could eat was gyoza, and that's all I ate. And it's just a very dear memory to my heart. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? I love you too, Aaron. Yep.
I also love you.
Leo loves you as well. Okay. All right. Well, last chance. Yeah.